July 15th would have been different if a mental health provider was there along with police.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yes.
I think so.
That's what the parents of Brianna Greer had to say when Ashlyn Webb interviewed them in August. In July, their daughter's death made national news when body camera video showed deputies responding to Greer's schizophrenic episode. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation says the 28-year-old suffered deadly head injuries when she fell out of a deputy's cruiser. The month she died, Georgia's co-responder law took effect, encouraging law enforcement agencies to create teams of mental health counselors and officers. But as Ashlyn Webb reports in tonight's 13 Investigates, 6 months later, not a single Central Georgia county has set up one of these teams.
Yes, Lori, we checked with every law enforcement agency in Central Georgia. Most said they're in contact with the State Department of Behavioral Health Community Service Boards to have a mental health clinician on call. But that clinician would have to cover more than one county. However, Bibb County says they plan to launch a program early next year where a mental health clinician would respond to scenes as needed. And Washington County says they've applied for a grant to create a task force. With that, we look to some agencies beyond Central Georgia that already have established teams to see what's working and what's not. In tonight's 13 Investigates. A situation police often see, a person experiencing a psychiatric episode. This man told police the government was out to get him and he was trying to escape off of a roof. Instead of just police swarming the man, a mental health clinician was by his side. That's Pejma Devi next to the translator. He's part of Gwinnett County Police Department's co-responder team, along with Corporal Tracy Reed. And on this day in February, they spent hours talking the man down off the roof.
You call 911 because if something bad is happening. It's not because you want to celebrate your birthday. So already you have a bad idea, a bad thought, and then the police show up in their police cars, lights. You're thinking, I'm going to jail or somebody's in trouble. I think for us, it's just being a friend. Just having that human connection, trying to relate to the person.
The outcome, the man didn't go to jail as he feared. Instead, the team connected the man to mental health services. That's what's happened in half of the Gwinnett team's over 2,000 calls since it's launched in July 2021.
Of all the calls that we have responded to, less than 2% have resulted in somebody going to jail.
Devi and Reed followed the lead from the first team in the state, Athens-Clarke County. Sergeant Robbie Cochran has built his team from the ground up over the last 6 years while pioneering the idea across the state, getting people the mental health treatment they need while getting them out of jail.
It's been 6 years since I made an arrest.
And why is that?
It's hard to build trust in the community if they're in fear that you're going to arrest them every time you see them. Has a crime been committed? Probably so, maybe, but that's not what I'm here for. If the officers wanted to arrest you, they would have arrested you before they called me.
It's saving people from jail time, and it's also saving police departments manpower, the agencies say. Even more of a reason why Gwinnett County expanded their program this year from 1 unit to 6 to cover every patrol precinct.
And what we were finding was that when officers responded to these calls, they were getting stuck because they weren't familiar with the resources. They didn't know where to send people for help, and the community didn't know where to go for help. Now we have that resource because we're bringing it with us in the car.
But while Gwinnett's team is growing, Athens is shrinking.
Currently we were up to 3 and now we're back down to 1. We have a hard time finding the clinical side of our teams.
A problem across Georgia, as clinicians from the 23 community service boards are already stretched thin, each covering several of Georgia's 159 counties. Both Athens and Gwinnett say it takes a community effort to make a successful program.
The ones that are truly successful are the ones that have everybody on board. They've got their police, they've got their jail, they've got their courts, they've got their local community service providers. Everybody's on board with making it better.
On top of the shortage of clinicians, the biggest point we've heard from police chiefs and sheriffs is that the co-responder law provides no funding. Central Georgia lawmakers say this may be something that's considered next legislative session. For 13 Investigates, I'm Ashlyn Webb.
In August, President Biden signed a bill that Georgia Senator John Ossoff introduced. It provides funding for law enforcement across the country to better respond to mental health calls. Ossoff's office could not say how much money should be available, but agencies should be able to apply for grants for this funding in the next few months.